What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new video. If you're new around here, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. So, according to the community post that I made a few days ago, apparently some of you guys want to see me roast some politicians from the governors all the way to the U.S. senators. This is part one of my Roasting Politicians episode with the governors, which is what got the most votes. My senator tier list and me roasting senators will be out tomorrow. And this is the start of a couple of recorded videos I have planned because I won't be around for a little while to record videos. So that being said, let's jump right into it. We're going to start with Kay Ivey. She also has the name of Lockdown Ivy from others. She's not the worst governor, but she's also not very good. She gets like a D tier rating. She's not F. Mike Dunleavy, pretty solid overall. Not too bad. Looked at his record, not too bad. He's pushing a little bit to abolish the ranked choice voting, saying that if it reaches his desk, he would sign it to get rid of the ranked choice voting, which I think is really based. Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, probably my favorite, one of my favorites, if not my favorite female governor in the entire country. She is amazing. And put her in A tier. She's not S tier yet because she's only been in the governor's mansion for a little bit over a year now. So we're just going to have to watch. Maybe I'll move her up to S tier at some point. But for now, she's very solid. She's much better than Ada Hutchinson, her predecessor. So that being said, everybody's favorite, Ron DeSantis. I don't think there's anything I gotta explain here. He's an automatic S. He's been very solid, and he will likely be the heir to Donald Trump. If he did not run, he would be the leading candidate for 2028 by a long shot. Next up, Brian Kemp. He has been iffy. Let's just say that right off the bat. He has a very mid record. He's not the greatest governor. Trump endorsed a primary challenge to him, which only got like 25% of the vote, which was absolutely pathetic. So, Brian Kemp, not the best. I'm going to put him in C tier. He's just average. He's passed some good legislation when he had a primary challenge, but overall, not very good. He is improving, though. We'll have to see where he is at the end of the year, but for now, he's a C tier governor. Brad Little, this guy's awful. He is trying to get liberals into the state of Idaho for whatever weird reason. He's just very meh. He's not good at all. Hopefully Trump will follow through. He only's got one more term because I think he'll be term limited after 2026. I'll have to check on that. Anyway, Eric Holcomb, this guy's term limited for 2024, so he cannot run again. Mike Braun's going to be replacing him, who's going to be a big upgrade. Eric Holcomb, complete F tier, not good at all. Absolute failure. Especially on the COVID, he locked down the state when it may not have been necessary. And he definitely did not take a very conservative approach. If you think Eric Holcomb is great, well, you're definitely not very conservative. Next up, Kim Reynolds. She's actually probably one of my other second favorite female governors at B tier. She's not bad. She's also not my favorite. She endorsed Ron DeSantis originally, but eventually came around and endorsed Trump, which I thought was pretty solid. But her endorsing DeSantis should not derail you to thinking she's a bad governor, because overall she's a very solid state governor for what she is. Anyways, next up, brand new governor. Only been on the scene for like 3 or 4 months, and so far he's been doing... A lot of people said he was a disappointment, but actually I look at it through the opposite lens. He's a B-tier governor, very solid. He's not a rhino. He's also definitely cracking down on crime, which is one of his biggest stances as Attorney General during his campaign for governor. Next up, Tate Reeves, Mississippi GOP cleaning house, but we still have Tate Reeves as governor there. Hopefully he will not run again in 2027, but I think he'll be term limited anyway, so hopefully we'll be able to get an upgrade. Anyway, next up, Mike Parson. This guy is term limited. He's retiring at the end of this year. Thank goodness. He's appointing Democrats to some seats in the state government, and that automatically gets a D tier. Other than that, he's been okay. He's not been great, but he's been okay. But for appointing Democrats, that just knocks him down a whole lot. John Forte, probably one of my second favorite governors in the entire country, aside from Ron DeSantis. John Forte's an automatic S tier. He's passed a lot of the good legislation we have wanted to see, and he is overall just going to probably continue on, hopefully in 2026, or 2028, or 2030, or whenever the next Senate election is. He runs for the Senate, because I'd like to see him in the United States Senate at some point down the road. Next up, we have got Jim Pillen. Jim Pillen, Nebraska. I have mixed opinions on him. Trump endorsed a primary challenge to him when he was running for governor, and overall, I thought that he would be kind of a disappointment, but he's actually seemed to be a very solid governor. I'm going to put him in B tier. He's pushing the winner take all, which is very solid. I don't know why Democrats should be getting an electoral vote out of Nevada or out of Nebraska, because Nebraska's a solid red state. Nebraska's second tends to swing in different directions. Right now it's trending blue, but if we can get winner take all passed, the state will turn back red and all 5 electoral votes will continue to go Republican, which I think is a very smart choice. Next up, Joe Lombardo. Very solid, but also kind of establishmentarian. I don't really know what to think of Joe Lombardo. He's not bad, but he's also not perfect. But again, he's got a huge Democrat legislature that's working against him. So we'll cut him some slack. He's going to be in C tier. If he gets, I'm going to say if he gets a Republican legislature, which I hope he does, if you live in Nevada, make sure to vote for his candidates. If he gets a Republican legislature, he'll be a much better governor, I feel like. Now, next up, Chris Sununu. Thank God this guy is retiring. This guy is awful. Somebody from the Northeast who knows exactly what this guy is and what he's like. He's not good. He's just not good at all. He acted like a Trump Republican, then endorsed the biggest rhino in the United States presidential primary, which was Nikki Haley. Complete and utter failure. He's pro-CRT and pro-LGBTQ, pro-transgenderism. He added a non-binary option for driver's license, from what I've heard. So yeah, not good at all. Doug Burgum, this guy's okay. He's not my favorite governor either. I mean, Trump, rumors are swirling that he might be considered for Trump's vice presidential pick, but I think he'd do much better as energy secretary. But I'm going to put him in C tier. A lot of these governors are just meh. We don't have that many great Republican governors. And Mike DeWine, I don't think I got to explain anything here. He's basically just as bad as Eric Holcomb. I don't think he's all that... He's not great at all. He vetoed a bill that would have banned transgender sports and that would have protected women's sports. He vetoed that bill. Thankfully, the legislature overrode it and passed it. But overall, not good. Hopefully, he'll be term limited in 2026, and hopefully we can get an upgrade in there. Kevin Stitt, very solid. The only weak spot he has is on crime, for the most part. So in that scenario, we'll put him in B tier. He's solid. He's not my favorite governor, but he's okay. Henry McMaster, again, another one of these governors who has been growing on me, but I have not really learned as much about that I want to learn more about. But overall, from what I've seen, McMaster's very good. He's been growing on me. He helped stop the crime, and recently I was in South Carolina over the summer in 2023, and it was a fun place. It was very nice. And overall, he's going to get a B-tier governor. Next up, we have Bill Lee, current chairman of the Republican Governors Association. He's actually rather solid. He passed a bill banning LGBTQ flags in public schools. So just for that alone and some of the other stuff he's done, like crime crackdowns, he's going to get a B tier. He was a C tier governor a few months ago, but lately he's been proving himself to be pretty solid. Kristi Noem, she's just average. She's not that good. People hype her up to think that she's, like, great, but she's really not. But Trump did endorse her, and that might have been a mistake, but overall, Trump should have run her as a primary challenge to John Thune, who hopefully he'll lose the election for Senate Majority Leader, because if he does lose that election, then he'll probably just leave the Senate in 2028, and Kristi Noem will just take his seat, which would be absolutely phenomenal to see. But aside from that, she's owned by Sanford Health. We know that. She's out there making all these weird videos about why people move to South Dakota, with like the apprenticeships and all that other stuff. I'll leave some of those links in the description if you want to check them out, but you may already know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Greg Abbott, this guy's pretty solid. In 2022, I wanted him to get primaried out, but I also did not know much about politics in 2022. But aside from that, he's handling the border crisis very well. The Biden administration is not happy with him. We're going to put him in B tier. He's a rather solid governor. Breath of fresh air, I'd say, but a lot of them are just meh overall in terms of what he's done. But he's also blocked because Dade Phelan, the Texas House Speaker, is an absolute moron. Anyway, next up, Spencer Cox, complete and useless governor. I mean, Utah Republicans have to do better. We have a bunch of weak people in the Utah state government, and Spencer Cox is no different. Anyway, Phil Scott, another one of these F-tier blue state governors. I mean, I want to hear that Phil Scott is from a blue state, because Phil Scott is absolutely awful. He's even worse than Charlie Baker and Chris Sununu. And Chris Sununu, I guess you could say, is from a slightly red state. But overall, Phil Scott, if you're worse than Charlie Baker, that's really saying something. And Charlie Baker was from Massachusetts. Massachusetts being like the second bluest state, while Vermont's the bluest in the country. So there's really no excuse for that. Anyway, Glenn Youngkin, very, very good. He's the other A-tier governor we're going to put in A-tier. He's not bad by any means. He's actually very good. But yeah, Phil Scott being a blue state governor for what he is, and especially we had other blue state governors like Chris Sununu or Charlie Baker that were all, or Larry Hogan even, who's better than Phil Scott. Larry Hogan might be running for Senate, or might win the Senate race. I don't have high hopes for it. I don't have him winning in my Senate prediction, but he could win at the very end of the day. Plus, you also have better blue state governors like Glenn Youngkin, who's phenomenal. Next up, Jim Justice. He's running for Senate because he's term limited in the governor's office, which I don't blame him. It's just like the Senate where people go to retire. He's not that good. I'm going to put him in D tier. Not that great of a governor. Now, Wyoming, Mike Gordon, he vetoed a bill that would have passed constitutional carry. He was basically a Democrat. So overall, he's just meh. He's not great. He's also not good on the election integrity issue, which I think is a big thing. He's very weak. Hopefully, he'll lose his primary. I don't know if he's term limited or not, but we'll have to see. Well, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the final tier list. Please make sure to like and subscribe. So many of these governors just need to go, the ones that are below C tier. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. And with that being said, enjoy the rest of your day.